Well, hello, all our Soul Train Cruise and not Soul Train Cruise fans out there. Whether you were tuning in as part of the Soul Train Cruise, the Disco Cruise, the Malt Shop Memories Cruise, any one of Star Vista Live's wonderful musical themed charters, you're more than welcome to be here and we're glad to have you. My name is Jason and I'm your virtual cruise host. And today we have another edition of All Access Pass from Home. This is our interview session where we get a chance to talk with some of the great stars of today and yesterday, some of those that were legends in their time and some of those that were legends and continue to be legends, some of the great musical icons out there. And today is certainly no exception. I'm joined by a group of gentlemen that many of you will know. They are known together as the Manhattans. Individually, I have Mr. Dave Tyson, I have Mr. Troy May, and I have the great Gerald Alston with me. First and foremost, gentlemen, thanks for taking a little time. I say that like you guys have busy days.
Thank you for having us.
I appreciate you guys being here.
Yeah.
Dave, are you on a bright red couch? Not at all. Dave, are you on a bright red couch or a beanbag chair? What are you in there?
That's my blanket when my wife sent me down to the living room to sleep in the
Dave said, I'm going to sit over there. And your wife said, no, you're going to sit over there. And you said, you know what? I think I'm going to sit over there.
Right.
I'm a married man myself. I understand. And Dave, where are you joining us from in the world?
Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. All right.
I had to say Pennsylvania because Blue say Philadelphia, Mississippi.
Oh, I understand. Yeah, you gotta get your home ground. Got to make sure everyone understands. How many people, when you say Philadelphia, though, think of a different Philadelphia out of curiosity? Troy, over to you, my man. Where are you dialing in from?
Coming out of Birmingham, Alabama.
Birmingham, Alabama. Right on. How's everything down there in Alabama right now? You guys hanging in?
Yeah, hanging in there. So far, so good.
Well,
staying out of the way.
Right, we're all just trying to be good citizens. I think that's ultimately what we're doing. And Gerald, how about you, sir? Where are you dialing in from?
Jersey City, New Jersey.
Jersey City. Are you born and raised in Jersey City, sir?
No, I was born in North Carolina.
North Carolina. How long you been up in Jersey?
Since 1970.
Okay, so a few years. You've been
in 80, but I came up to sing with the Manhattans in 1970.
Gotcha. So you've been there a few years.
Yes.
Well, as I said, collectively, the folks know you guys as the Manhattans. Gerald, if you would be so kind, would you take us back a few years? Tell us about how you became a part of the Manhattans, and then let's walk us through a little bit of the timeline for the folks that may not know.
Okay. I joined the Manhattans right out of high school.
17, right? 17.
Yes.
Yeah.
I started my first year of college, and I wanted to be a heart surgeon. And heart specialist, I should say. And when it didn't work out that way, I met the Manhattans. They were praying.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, it did. Just in a different kind of way.
Yeah. They performed at my school, and I opened the show for them. They used my sound system, and I opened the show for them, and they took my name and address. And at the time, I didn't know that George Smith, the original lead singer, was sick, and he had a turn for the worse right after they left the college that they were performing at my college. And they sent him home, and Phil Terrell stood in for Smitty, and they flew me down to Dallas, Texas. I watched him 10 days with the Supremes, and they flew me back to New York, and I rehearsed about 2 or 3 weeks with them there. And I went out on my first date, and this was the big one. The first date that we did was in Richmond, Virginia, at the mosque. It was the Dells, Patti LaBelle and the Bluebells, Brendan the Tabulations, Kool and the Gang, Spinners. Oh my God, it was a big show.
And you're 17, 18, you're still a kid. I mean, this is your first.
Yes, that was my first professional concert.
How did you not lose your mind being on that stage and in that moment with all of these absolute, and that time, a lot of those are already very, very well established groups. They weren't, we're talking in their heyday as well.
Yes, you're right. I was nervous, and but I was able, after the first couple of songs, because actually I've been singing before
Sure.
as an amateur, right? But when I got out on stage with the Manhattans, I was nervous for maybe the first song or two, and then it just all evened out.
Did you guys have all the dance moves? Did you have all the dance moves down?
Pretty much, yes. Pretty much, yes.
Though I love watching the original videos. Like I was watching the original recording for Shining Star, and I just the opening stanza of all you guys just slide and cross slow spin. It's amazing. I love it. That's classic. You can't. So how long were you with the Manhattans overall, sir? I mean, how long have you been? Forgive me.
I've been totally, because I even though I had my little solo career, and I still was singing Manhattans. I couldn't go any place. So I just combined it all. This October 21st will be my 50th year with Manhattans.
That's wonderful. That's amazing. You don't hear that very often, man. That's very, very cool. Yeah, absolutely. Now, Gerald, I'm going to ask you for a favor. I have these other two handsome gentlemen here on camera. Do me a favor and introduce Troy and David to the folks that may not know them and how they became to be part of the Manhattans.
Okay. Now
tell us your true feelings.
Okay. Ooh, yeah. I'm gonna give you a little history.
Please.
Go to commercial.
Yeah. We just before Troy came, there was a gentleman singing with us, Eban Brown.
Mhm.
And Eban later became the lead singer of the Stylistics. So when Eban was ready to join the Stylistics, no, he went to Delphonics then. But anyway, when he got ready to leave the group, we had to bring in Troy, and Eban worked with Troy and helped Troy with the choreography and got him locked in. And after we worked, Troy picked up everything very well. And it went very smooth, and it worked out. Troy just fit it in like a glove. Of course, he was. No,
whatever you're remembering, you got to finish.
It was all good. Troy was all good. And, so Troy fitted like a glove, and everything was moving smooth. And then we needed another singer because we had a young lady sing with us, singing backup when Eban left. So she had to leave. We wanted to get another guy in the group. And so Pop Charlie Atkins got in touch with Ron Tyson of the Temptations, and Ron submitted his younger brother.
Little Davy.
Little David. So David sent this videotape. Yeah, one of the Temptation suit. Troy, tell him, please, I can't.
Go ahead, Troy, finish the story before we lose Gerald.
Blue told us that David had sent in the tape. He had the Temptations tuxedo on, and he was standing in between two pictures, one of Jesus Christ and the other of Martin Luther King. And he was doing the dance moves. Girls all right with me.
It's true. It's true.
So basically, he sent in a video of him in a trio, and a hell of a trio it was. Yeah.
Exactly. And Blue said, "We got to check this guy out."
I mean, if Jesus and MLK are backing him up, he's probably pretty good.
There you go, right?
And it worked. It worked. He came to visit us to see us perform at Valley Forge, right outside of Philadelphia, the theater in the round. And he saw the show, and we talked, and then we brought him in and rehearsed, and the rest was history.
Did you said theater in the round?
Yes.
Now, for folks that don't know what theater in the round is, explain that, because that's a whole different type of performance than proscenium or theater style, regular theater style.
Yeah, it's a theater where everybody has a great seat. The stage is in the round, and it goes around, and the seats go around. It's beautiful, and from every angle you have a perfect seat.
for lack of better terms, you don't have a backstage. No one is seeing your back. You know, most people are used to watching like a TV screen style of theater. Theater in the round has a circle in the middle and seats are almost 360 degrees around you.
Yes.
But that changes your performance style as well, because all of a sudden you've got 360 almost degrees of people that you're entertaining, not just this.
Right.
Yeah, it changed the performance because sometimes the stage stops and go the opposite direction.
Yeah.
Right.
While you're stepping.
In fact, Dave, wasn't that the stage that moved fast?
Yes.
Yeah.
The one it moved faster than the other ones. Yeah.
So you're actually holding on as well. You're bracing.
Yeah, exactly.
You
And doing steps.
Yeah.
And no choreography, right, Troy? Choreography was a little difficult.
The beauty of a stage like that is if you don't have rhythm, it'll give it to you.
That's right.
It'll force you to get into those steps. Yeah. You guys have all been on the ship with us. Obviously, it's like when the ship rocks a little bit, all of a sudden everybody's got the same rhythm.
That's it.
That's right.
All right.
David, would you like to rebuttal against these gentlemen and what they're saying? Would you like to say anything back about this, about your performance tape and, you know, Jesus and MLK? I mean, come on.
It was right. It's right, but only thing I didn't realize they were on the wall. I didn't even realize that the picture was a little crooked, you know. But I had a friend of mine. I was working on the railroad. He came to my house and he videotaped it. I had my brother's jacket on, Temptations jacket on. My brother told me he think I went a little too far with that, but it worked. I've been there for 27 years, but then Gerald and Blue came down. We went to a dance theater in West Philadelphia. Wow, I forget the name of it.
Philadelphia.
But they rehearsed me. Yeah, Philadelphia. They rehearsed me all night long. I mean, I recorded too. I still have the recordings, and it was very helpful. And my first show was in Dallas, Texas, but I didn't come up to the front. My first show come up front, I think, was in Baltimore, and that was it. Worked out.
They kept you in the back. They made you earn that front spot.
Yeah, that's going in the back.
That's good though. I think every one of us has to start in the back. No one should start in the front, right? Earn that front spot.
Yeah.
And how long has this iteration of the Manhattans been together? Your current build, Gerald?
Wow, we actually got back together in '93. So this is like,
it's about 27 years.
Yeah, it's 26 years for you, Dave, because we started.
It'll be 27 this year.
This year will be 27. Yes, you're right. You're right.
That's fantastic. That's really cool. And you guys are still quite active. We were talking a little bit before we started filming that, you know, unfortunately, obviously with all the social distancing and the quarantining going around, you know, we've lost a lot of the ability or either canceled or postponed all of our public events. And of course, as performers, that hits you directly. You've lost a few dates. I mean, you guys stay pretty active. You're still doing, you know, anywhere from 4 to 8 concerts a month, you're saying?
Something like
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right in the gut. Woo!
Well,
Man.
Troy, you were saying how weird it is, you know, to not be, you got to miss it, right? I mean,
it's in our blood.
It's in your blood, right?
It's, you know, we're home. It's one thing to be home for maybe a week or two, or maybe even longer, but at least you had light at the end of the tunnel. You knew a show was coming up soon. Now you just don't know. And, you know, for us, we're sitting home with nowhere to go, you know? You're like, come on, we got to do something.
Yeah.
Getting on the wife's nerves, you know? My wife's like, when you going on the show?
Yeah, she's actually prepared for you to go get ill. She's like, why don't you just go do one? You know? Just go sign some autographs. It's fine.
Right.
Hey, yo, let me tell you, my wife took my luggage in the living room the other day.
You said it by the door?
Yeah.
I was like, yo.
Just getting ready. Just preparing.
Right.
Well, actually, and this is a great opportunity, I think, you know, as we talk about concerts and stuff and performing live, obviously that's hard to do. But in speaking with Gerald and kind of preparing to chat with you guys, Gerald, you had a great idea of making this somewhat of a listening style event where we're not just chatting. You picked out a couple of songs that you would like our guests and your fans to hear songs that you've personally performed or as a group have performed. We got a list of 4. The first one you chose is "I'm So Glad Troubles Don't Last Always." Explain to me why this is important to you and why you chose this.
I grew up singing gospel, and
well, your father was a pastor, correct?
Right, and he sang gospel with his brothers and his uncles. They had a group called the Gospel Brothers, and then my uncle, the late Johnny Fields, was one of the founding members of the 5 Blind Boys of Alabama. Yeah. So I was constantly around gospel groups, and I did the first time I remember singing in public was at church. And "I'm So Glad" was a song that my aunt used to sing. In fact, my aunt and my mother and 2 sisters used to sing together. And that was one of the songs that my aunt used to always sing. "I'm so glad troubles don't last always." And I thought about this in a situation. I did it on the cruise at the gospel show. Mm-hmm. And I think it was 2018. And I thought it was fitting because for all of the people, the first responders that are out there, giving their time, putting their life on the line so that we could stay home and get better, Sure. And they're going out taking care of everybody. So I thought it was something was good to do for the unions, the transit unions, the truck drivers, the nurses, the doctors, the firefighters, and the police, etc. And I thought it was a good song to sing to let them know that troubles don't last always, and you have to keep your faith in God.
Well, that's a wonderful message. All right, my friends, let's have a look at "I'm So Glad Troubles Don't Last Always."
We're going through some very tough times right now. And I'd like to share with you how I'm making it. I'm making it through my faith in God, because He has blessed us with doctors, nurses, and first responders who are putting their life on the line to see that we get through. And I want to thank them for all that they are doing. And I'd like to share this song with you. Oh my Lord, oh my Lord, oh my Lord, oh my Lord, I want to know, what shall I do? Oh yeah, yeah. You know that I'm so glad. I know the troubles don't last always. Whoa, I'm so glad. I know the troubles don't last always. I'm so glad. I know the troubles don't last always. Oh my Lord, I want to know. Yeah, you better run on, sinner, run. You better find you a hiding place. You better run, sinner, run. You better find you a hiding place. Run on, sinner, run. You better find you a hiding place. Oh my Lord, I want to know. Yeah, I'm so glad. I'm so glad. I know that troubles don't last always. Whoa, I'm so glad. I know the troubles will all soon be over. I'm so glad. I know the troubles don't last always. Oh my Lord, I want to know. Yeah, I'm getting weary. What can I do, Lord? I'm getting tired. What can I do, Lord? I'm getting weary. What can I do, Lord? You promised me you'd be right beside me. You promised me you'd bring me out of trouble. You promised me you'd be my friend. You promised me, Jesus, you stand beside me. Oh yeah. Oh, I'm so glad I got my religion, Lord, in time. I'm so glad I got my religion and I was lost, Lord. So glad I've got my religion in time. Oh my Lord, I wanna know. Yeah, soon one morning, you know when death comes creeping in, I wanna be ready. Soon one morning, I'll be tried, my Lord, soon one morning, you know when death comes creeping in my room. Oh my Lord, I wanna know, what shall I do? What shall I do? Yeah. Remember that God is in control.
That was fantastic, Gerald. That's wonderful. And I while we were showing the video to all our fans out there, and they were watching that, obviously they couldn't necessarily see you three, but I could. And what you couldn't see was Dave and Troy all singing along and picking their harmonies in there. Now, obviously, Gerald did that solo in his in one of his hallways there. But Troy, David, what does a song like that mean to you? Both of you obviously know it and chimed in there.
You go ahead, Dave.
Means a lot. I mean, it's the truth. Trouble don't last always. Sometimes you have the faith, and you are blessed with the faith. You have to sit there and think about it. Yes, it doesn't last always. Just believe in God and he'll pull you through.
Absolutely right. I had the pleasure of singing that very song with Gerald at a Sam Cooke, a show honoring Sam Cooke.
Yeah.
And who else sang with us, Gerald? Was it Leroy?
Leroy Crooms. He was one of the original Soul Stirrers.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And we sang that song, and the whole house went to pieces. He rocked it. My brother rocked it.
And you know what?
It was a lot of fun.
The people were coming from out of the dressing room, backstage.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Aretha Franklin was there, Elvis Costello, Morgan Freeman. So many people were there. It was something.
Yes.
Really something.
There's such great power in music, and gospel is, renowned for its ability to pull people together. It's renowned for its ability to, no matter how you're feeling or where you're sitting or, what color you are or who you believe in or don't believe in, there's power in that music, and it can absolutely, to your point, pull people from dressing rooms and, from the back of the theater to the sides of the theater. It's a unifier. Well, thank you, Gerald, for picking that song. Song number two that you went with, you said, you chose "My Soul is Anchored in the Lord." So another gospel style song. What made you go here?
Well, I'd heard it many, many times before. And my son called me one day. He said, "Dad, my son's hard." He said, "Dad, you have to sing this song. This is you." He said, "I've sung it at church, but this is you." And then listen to the words and knowing what the story is all about. It was a perfect fit for what's going on today. Troubles don't last always, but you got to keep faith. Even sometimes when it looks like it's not going to happen, when it looks the darkest, you have to keep your faith because there is a light at the tunnel. You just have to be strong and hold on to it. And this song was perfect, and it was one that touched my heart, really touched my heart. And I did this on the cruise in 2018.
Yes, you did.
And and I found that it touched everybody. This song touched everybody. And every time that I've ever sung it, everybody was moved by it. Not just because I maybe sang it well or whatever, but they were moved by the story of the song.
The person singing the song obviously has a great effect on the listener, but often some of the best lyrics and the best songs you can, and I don't mean this towards you, but I mean, a lesser singer can still perform a great song and do it justice.
Yeah.
When a great singer performs a great song, obviously it's it's that perfect crossing. But to your point, I hear what you're saying. It's not just you, it's the song as well.
Yes.
All right, let's have a listen. This is My Soul is Anchored in the Lord.
Though the storms keep on raging in my life, and sometimes it's hard to tell the night from day. Still that hope that lies within is reassured as I keep my eyes upon the distant shore. I know He'll lead me safely to that blessed place He has prepared.
Gerald, man, you were in that performance. You know, you see people perform a lot, obviously, and you know it's our business. But I use a term often, and it's a common phrase in sports and in performance when someone is in the pocket. You know, someone is in that, they're in that sweet spot. I felt you in that song. You were in the pocket right there. Tell us about emotionally what it feels like to perform a song like that, and on the Soul Train cruise specifically, where you've got a dedicated crowd out there that's very into that gospel moment and is there, you know, they want that, they're desperate for that.
You know, it's I was always taught, my father always taught me coming up in early years of singing. He said, son, sing what you believe, or sing a song that you can identify with. When you can't identify with it, you can't perform it the way that it should be performed. And he always taught me to sing from my heart, sing the way I feel it, the way I interpret it. And from that, I learned, when I would learn a song, I just didn't learn the lyrics. I learned the story.
Sure.
And I was able to perform it. And UGO, oh my God.
UGO, for anyone watching that obviously doesn't know that name, they're called Urban Guerrilla Orchestra, and they come to us from Philadelphia, and they are our, I'm going to use a ridiculously demeaning phrase, they're our house band on the Soul Train cruise and our disco cruise, but there's so much more than a house band.
Definitely.
So yeah, they're wonderful.
And I have to say this, you know, we as a group don't particularly like to use other musicians.
Sure, understandably.
But if I have to use other musicians, UGO would be the.
Listen,
they got
it. Hey, Jason.
Yes.
Now this is a guy who felt like he missed the boat on being a heart surgeon. That was Gerald performing heart surgery. Everybody in that order.
Yeah, you said it. You said it at the top of this. You know, he wanted to be a heart expert, and I think that there's a lot of different ways to approach the heart. Right, to your point.
There you go.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Especially at a time like now.
Yeah, amen to that. My goodness. Now we're going to move into a song that many people have never heard of, but the third song you chose is how do I pronounce this? Shining Star. Forgive me, I wasn't sure what song that was. Obviously an all-time great for you in the Manhattans. Tell us a little bit about Shining Star.
Shining Star, we won a Grammy for in 1980, and it was written by Leo Graham and Paul Richmond. And the first time we heard it, it just touched us. It just locked right into it, you know. And it sometimes you can feel it when it's right. Mm-hmm. And that was one of those songs that we as a group felt like it was right. You know, it was perfect. And the rest was history.
And Troy, David, I'll start with you if you don't mind. You know, it's. I'm sure you guys have performed and sung songs by many of the greats. Obviously, you either in a tribute, whether you're paying tribute to an artist, or whether you're just singing them on your own because it's a song that you remember, know, and love. What is it? It's got to mean something a little different though when you are suiting up and you are a member of the actual group that did it. So you're not necessarily just paying tribute to some. You are now the Manhattans. What does it feel like when Shining Star is next on the set list and you know you're about to perform it? It's got to be kind of a cool emotion.
Well, the emotion I have is, the Manhattans were the top group for me growing up in Philadelphia. I mean, we went to the Uptown Theater all the time to see them. And when we used to sing on the corners, that was what we sang, right? Shining Star and Kids Say Goodbye by the Manhattans. And it's a dream come true now. Was able to sing with them as a Manhattan on stage.
Sure. And Troy, sorry, go ahead, please.
Well, for me, growing up in New York, that was the song. Kiss and Say Goodbye or Shining Star. I mean, it is such an honor to be putting on that suit, knowing that I'm going out to perform these songs that I know these people are going to absolutely love. And it's two things makes it even more of an honor. One is when we go to different countries and see how they respond, like South Africa or Japan. it's mind-blowing to them, and it gives us that much more of a oomph to give it to them on stage. And secondly, since we lost Blue in 2014, it's that much more of an honor to perform these songs.
David, I apologize. I cut you off at the end there. Please continue.
Yeah, well, every time we sing it, before we sing it on every show, then it touches me. You know, I get that little spark, you know, to do it and to do it right.
Right.
You know, I think like, how can I do it wrong? I mean, I sang it at 16 years old. I used to sing it all the time on the corners, and now you're on stage to do it in front of an audience, a big audience.
You know, Jason,
and, you know,
is one other thing that I would like our fans to know.
Please.
When David and Troy joined the group, it was a perfect mix. Everything fell together. You know, we didn't have to go out of bounds to bring them in. They fit, you know, and you know, and over the years, it's only gotten better and better, you know, and it was a perfect fit for Blue and myself. When we decided to come back together, the chemistry, it's there, you know, and we have a good time. You know, we over the years, over 25 years, we've learned, they've learned the same thing that I learned when I got in the group, the Manhattans myself. You know, you begin to feel each other. You know each other. You know what each other's going to do. And right now it's the same thing. You know, we just know each other on stage. We feel each other on stage. And sometimes, you know, we laugh at each other.
You have to, right?
Sometimes. A lot of times.
The point is that if one of us make a mistake, it's a mistake. And we just keep going, we'll laugh and keep going. But,
and we make, right, if you make a mistake on stage, we make it like it's a part of the act when we laugh.
Right. And then we get backstage and laugh like I don't know what after the show.
You have to, right? I mean, what's the alternative? The alternative is infighting and getting mad, and you know, as long as you believe in the end product, then
right.
And people realize when we do that, when a mistake is made on stage, they realize that we're human.
I was literally going to say those exact words, Gerald. I was going to say that, you know, when it's like public speaking, it's like presenting, it's like any of the people that you know and love from television or actors, or when someone is too flawless in their delivery, and that goes for your patter between songs. Patter, for those that are watching, is the talking between the songs. It goes for your patter between songs and during the set and your set list and the whole 9 yards. If you're too flawless from top to bottom, if you're too overly rehearsed, it detracts often, because it creates a fourth wall, right? It creates a screen between you and your audience, where you're during your show and they're watching your show, but there's them and then here's you, and there's no, you know, a humanizing moment is unbelievable. Right. It brings people together very quickly.
Yes, it does.
Yeah. And the ability to miss a note, or to, you know, just do the wrong step or turn the wrong direction, and everyone laughs a little bit, and you go, yeah, well, it's live entertainment, right? It also makes it real.
I remember we was on stage one time and I had a cast on my leg. I think may have been in Baltimore, and I was sitting on a stool while everybody was dancing, and I'm rocking and singing, and the stool just broke. Boom!
On the clock.
I still had the mic in my hand. And I was, you know, saying some other type of things on the mic. I rolled.
That was hilarious.
I rolled off the stage. Everybody laughed. Got me up. Went back on stage. And
I think we should make that part of the act.
Yeah, right.
Let's just put that in the show.
Yeah. You start going from the pratfalls and the physical comedy.
Yeah.
You guys are Three Stooges by the end of it. Just
there you go.
All right. Well, I want to continue more of this banter, but before we get more into it, let's watch one of the all-time greatest songs in the history of music, not to mention the history of the Manhattans, "Shining Star."
But before we go, I'd just like to take a moment and introduce the guy with the long hair over here. Oh, sorry. How about it for Mr. Troy May, ladies and gentlemen? Next to Troy,
Whenever you see old school come to town, get your ticket, go out and see these artists. We got a legend on stage right here with us. Mr. Kiss and say goodbye. Mr. Shining Star. Let's give a big warm 2020 Soul Train cruise round of applause for the one and only Mr. Gerald Alston. Come on, everybody, show your love. Wave your hand. Wave your hand. Wave your hand.
first and foremost, the original choreography, I think we all noticed that. Still doing it the way you were doing it a couple years ago. That Soul Train crowd. Let's talk about the Soul Train crowd for a second there. That's that Soul Train cruise. Man, you say sing along, and it's like everyone in there is bursting to sing along. They're like, oh, finally.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What you were mentioning going to other countries and singing it, but no matter where you are, there's got to be the feeling of performing one of your songs, Gerald, and seeing a crowd full of people, whether it's 2 or 200 or 200,000, sing every lyric and are, you know, within the best of their ability to do it on pitch. It resonates. That song has been a part of these people's lives, these folks' lives for years, and you can see that it just means the world to them to sing it with you.
Right.
What's it like from the stage looking out at that? All the different folks.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, you feel the energy coming back.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure Dave and Terrell attest to that. You feel the energy coming back, and it just gives you more. It makes your adrenaline just pump even more.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yep.
And now, Dave, you are the resident bad boy. I didn't know that. Tell us why you're the resident bad boy of the Manhattan.
I don't know. I didn't do anything.
Yeah, you want to tell there were 2 incidents. No, I'm not gonna tell. I'm not gonna do it.
No, probably not necessary.
Yeah, I'll take the 5th on that.
That's fine. Some things are better left for you. Some things are better left.
There you
They
go.
were funny though. They were very funny.
There you go.
Question on actually a point and a question on this is, and I'm sure this is something you find. I've been blessed to talk to a lot of stars that have had hits for years and years, and you know, Shining Star is one of those timeless classic songs. Thank you, and I say this on behalf of the fans because this is a comment we get a lot, and I'm not going to name artists or anything like that, but if somebody does a classic song and they try to young it up or they try to make it new again, people don't, classic fans, like fans that have been there from the beginning, hate it. And I use the word hate and knowing what the word means, but you can see it affect people. And I get it. Outside the theater, I'll be standing outside the theater after a show and people will, if you see name artist, you tell them that we remember that song the way it was. And I'm like, whoa. Do you feel an onus to do the song the way people got married to it, danced to it, remember it, and love it?
Yes, because it's those songs, and we sing it that way, it has something, it affected them in their lives in some way or another. They remember it, us doing it that way. They remember it being a hit that way. And might have been a special time in their lives when this song was done, when we recorded it. And so to hear it the same way brings them back to that memory.
That's right.
And
That's
right. That's what I feel.
It's interesting because, you know, I'm not saying Shining Star couldn't have alternate versions. Absolutely. But if I go to the Manhattan's concert, if you want to do multiple versions, that's fine. But one of the versions better be the version that I remember, love, and grew up with. I being a guest or a paying customer at that concert.
That's right.
And it frustrates people amazingly the minute, you know, someone's like, hey, this is my classic and we've changed it up a little bit. I hope you like it. You see people, they're like, no, I do not. Even if the new version's great, it doesn't matter. No, that's not.
Now, some people can get away with it. Very, very few
Absolutely. I'm not saying it can't be
people like
done.
Luther Vandross or Gerald singing "A Change Is Gonna Come" by Sam Cooke.
Yes. But again, if you went and saw Sam Cooke, you would want to hear Sam Cooke do it his way, right? And I guess that's my point. I'm not saying you couldn't do multiple iterations of the song and change it a little bit, or you know, take it to church a little bit, or R&B it a little bit, or you know, whatever. You're absolutely.
Right.
But I do want to hear.
But I get what you're saying. I think people will be highly disappointed if we sang "Shining Star." Today's version of Shining Star.
Yeah.
Or you better sing it right first and then sing today's
Right.
version after, or something
Absolutely
like
right.
Yeah.
And be ready to run.
I've heard a lot of people come up and say that
Yeah.
at the show.
I hear it all the time. I'm not making it up. Obviously for those folks watching, I'm one of the hosts of all of Star Vista Live's musical charters, and whether it's Soul Train or country or 50s rock or 70s or disco, it doesn't matter. If the artist doesn't do an all-time hit justice, as in the way they remember it from the record, people are quick. They're quick. They're like, listen, I like it, but.
Right.
But. You're like, all right.
Where's the old one?
Yeah, where's the one I had my first dance at my wedding to? You're like,
Right.
Oh, fair enough.
Right.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. All right, I know we've been here for a little while, and I feel like I could talk to you guys all day, but we have one more song to get to, another all-time classic. Gerald, tell us a little bit about Kiss and Say Goodbye.
I remember when Blue wrote that, and Blue said, he said, Gerald, I was dreaming of this song, and he got up in the middle of the night and sat at his Wurlitzer in his apartment and started playing it. And then that morning before rehearsal, he called me. I was living in New York then. He called me, said, get to rehearsal early. I got this new song I want you to try. And when I got there, he sat at the piano. He said, it's gonna hurt me. I can't lie. And then he just went on from there, and we rehearsed it that day. And I ended up doing the demo, singing it for him to present to Bobby Martin. And the rest was history. Now, everybody asked Blue, did he write that song about himself? And he would always take the fifth. But I believe it was about himself. I do.
You saying you believe it means he did never admit it to you either.
Right. But it was a great song because it was a song that everybody in the world, no matter what language it was translated to, everybody in the world could relate to that song.
You can relate, yeah.
To what it was about. And it's something that happened everywhere.
And it's timeless.
Yes.
And that's what I was gonna say, Troy, is if you can create a song and musically, musically obviously it has to resonate, but lyrically, if it can touch on something that people can identify with, and there are certain songs, and we all have our favorites, right? And they touch us in different ways, but they often will touch multiple people in a different way, but will still touch them. And it maybe because your family went through it, or you went through it, or whatever it is, if it's if it's that kind of song. And I think that's how you create timeless music like this. Yes. So let's have a listen. Kiss and Say Goodbye.
Called you here today with some bad news. Baby, I can't see you no more because of my obligations and all. We've been meeting here every day. And since this is our last day together, I want to hold you one more time. When you turn and you walk away, don't look back. I want to remember you just like this. Let's just kiss and say goodbye.
This is something The way
Another fantastic performance on the Soul Train cruise. I first want to point out that that's the most false bows I've ever seen in a song, just about ever. Gerald, you've perfected the false bow there.
Oh yeah.
You got to leave them wanting more, right? You got to leave them wanting more. And if they keep calling for it, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Let's talk briefly before we get out of here. Well, first, I guess, before I even say that, thank you very much for those 4 song choices. Wonderful choices. The first 2 obviously being tributes to what we're all going through right now, and the second 2 being arguably the most classic Manhattan songs that everybody knows, remembers, and loves, and wonderful choices and great message. So thank you very much for doing that.
Thank you.
I would ask you a question about the Soul Train cruise itself. Most of our guests know you from the Soul Train crew. Most of our guests watching, unless they're obviously direct fans of yours from before, which is millions, but a lot of the folks watching are Soul Train cruise fans. And tell me what it's like for you guys performing on the Soul Train cruise with that fan base, with that group of folks.
It is awesome. It is awesome. And as I said one time before, you know, while we're on the cruise, we mingle, we may talk and sign autographs and take pictures and sit down and have breakfast or dinner with people. But the minute we get on that stage, it's a whole different attitude our fans take. It's like it's like their first time seeing us.
They're all teenagers again.
Yeah, yeah. And it's a wonderful cruise. It's a wonderful cruise. And I've enjoyed every time that we've done it.
Dave, how about you?
I love it. I mean, the only problem is, I should have brought my other half, but
Well, next time.
Yeah, next time. It was nice, the togetherness from everybody walking around and talking and mingling. It was like everyone was in one family, it wasn't like you're an entertainer and you got to sit over there and you got to sit over there and people run up, in the middle. You can be standing in line and ready to get your food, or you're in the elevator. It wasn't,
Yeah.
Tony Cornelius and I talk about that quite a bit, that, that it's reunion like, not only do you have people coming back year after year that have done it for, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times now. You also have people that they've been listening to the Manhattans for decades, right? So your music, they've been knowing you, whether you realize it or not. They've known the Manhattans for decades. Gerald, they've got all your records, and so meeting you is, they've known you for so long. Even if they've never met you, they've known you. And I think that's a concept that misses people at times, is on a charter cruise or on a musical theme cruise, one of the most unifying factors is everyone is there for the music. Yeah. Everyone is there for the music. Everybody loves that time frame, that era, and that music. And that's a great tie. It really doesn't matter where in the world you're from, or what socioeconomic group you grew up in, or how much money you had or didn't have, or how many jobs you had or didn't have, or yada yada yada. All the extras don't matter in that moment, because you can unite over what you heard on the radio and the albums you bought. You've had a great effect on people. Troy, how about you?
And Soul Train is such an iconic show. Don Cornelius, and Tony Cornelius was absolutely wonderful, great guy. We just had an absolute blast, and we're looking forward to the next time going. If you will allow, I would like to say something about our band, East Coast Connection. We got to give a shout out to those guys.
Sorry.
Our keyboard players, Curtis Dukes,
Colt Younger.
Our bass player, Mr. Jason Simons. We got our drummer, Mr. Charles Butler, Justice Butler, I should say. And last but not least, our guitar player, Mr. Mark Bowers. Those guys are great.
He's the fourth note.
Absolutely.
Mark's the fourth.
Yeah. And also I'd like to, in addition to that, I'd like to thank you, Jason, Janine, and the whole staff of, Star Vista that's there, that you guys are wonderful. You guys are kind. You make us feel like we're at home. It's a wonderful cruise, and I just enjoyed it. And most of all, also, I'd like to thank the crew that helps our staff. You know, we have Tom, Scotty, Tom Celsi, Scotty, Jeffrey Scott, Andre Borg. You know, these guys are with us all the time. And we could not function without them. And with them working in conjunction with the production team on the cruise, it was like piece of cake. And it's always good.
Well, your graciousness.
I got to tell you another thing I like about it.
Please.
The other artists that you guys pick, first of all, is absolutely wonderful artists that you pick. And number two, no egos.
None.
No egos amongst none of them. It's just like being around family. When we're all in the same room together, everybody gets along so well. Everybody's approachable and kind. I love it.
Yeah.
You know, it's a, there's a lot of artists out there, and we pick from a lot of people, and, you know, some are available, some are not, some we inquire with. And, you know, so when I say this, I'm certainly not saying that if we haven't had them, they fit into this category. But I will say that there are certain artists that we're careful with, because as you guys know, and as you were just talking about a moment ago, Dave, it's an intimate feeling on the cruise ship. And if you're not a good citizen along with being a great artist, it's hard to be in that cruise ship, because you don't just perform and then get in your car and go home or go to your own whatever.
Right.
You then go to the Lido restaurant. Exactly. Even if you don't like people, you're gonna be found. You're gonna be seen. You can't just hide every day.
They'll come knock on your door.
They'll find you, right? And you know, the guests are always so wonderful, and you know, they love you guys, and they want to say hi, at least shake your hand and get an autograph. But you know what I've found is that they're not overly intrusive. They're not horrible.
They're really not.
They're not overly pressure. You know, they're not crazy fans, if you will. These are real fans. They're fans that love you and respect you, along with, you know, identify and recognize your music. And so, yeah, thank you for that compliment very much. You're all very generous with that. But, you know, when we pick people, we're also picking people that we want to, you know, Soul Train is an iconic brand, to your point. And it's the Soul Train cruise has become iconic in its own right. And we don't want, just because someone's a great artist, if we know they're not going to be good with our guests, if they know they're not going to treat our 2,000 people on that week with kindness and respect, then it's hard to bring them on, you know, because we don't want to tarnish or damage. And so we try to build a community of artists that's also, you know, that also fits that same concept, I guess. And you guys are wonderful ambassadors for that, truly. And, you know, we receive nothing but please bring them back. Can't wait to see them again. So when are we going to see them again? Where is Gerald? Where are the Manhattans? Where are the guys? Come on. So thanks for that.
We'll be there every time.
Yes.
We love you guys. And thank you so much for sharing your time. This was a long one and a wonderful chat. And I really do appreciate all of you. And I want to end off by basically asking the question I've asked everybody. And I'll start with you, Troy. How's everyone feeling? Everyone okay and dealing with what we're going through okay out where you are?
You know, I thank God. We pray. My wife, my kids, my family, everybody in my family is doing well. Excellent. Thank God for that. And we're just maintaining until this thing blows over.
Amen, bro.
I really have to pray hard for those who've been affected by it. You know, people who've lost loved ones. I mean, this is crazy. Yeah. Absolutely crazy. Nobody in my lifetime has ever experienced anything like this before, but we just got to pray and get through it.
In most people's lifetimes, I mean, it's pretty unique, you know.
Right.
I'm not ignoring the world wars and the things like that we have people alive that have seen, or Vietnam or anything of that nature. But this is, you know, the AIDS epidemic in the 80s. You know, there's, you know, swine flu, and, you know, there's Spanish flu in 1918, and not many people are they're still from that era. But this is unique. It's very unique.
Yes, it is.
Thank you for those words, Troy. Dave, how about you, sir? Everything going okay with you and yours, and how are you guys dealing?
Everybody's doing well. You know, brings families closer. You know, it lets you know who your friends are, and it brings you closer to the Lord. That's all. That's all I have to say.
Amen. Thank you for
sharing. Be safe,
that.
everyone.
Thank you, sir. And Gerald, how about you and yours? I saw a couple of family members skirting around behind you there a few minutes ago. Yeah. How's everyone in the Alston family?
We are doing fine. That was my son and my wife. And, you know, it brings us closer together, because no matter how long you be married, you never really get a chance to learn everything about your spouse. And being together, you find this time you find out things, you know, about each other. You get closer together.
Right.
You start doing things together. So it has a good point. But also, I feel sorry, and I pray for the people, the first responders, the people that have to go out there every day to fight this war, you know. And we should, as a whole, which my family, we do, and a lot of us do, just to stay in so we can give them the opportunity to do their job, you know. And whatever we can do to give them, to boost them, to let them know that we love the first responders and how much we appreciate it. That's what we want to do. And we're all doing well, thank God. And I would just like to keep the prayers going for everybody, and that we get through this, because this too shall pass.
Absolutely.
Amen to that. This too shall pass. I feel like that's become the mantra of this for just about everybody is, you know, hang tight, be a good citizen, you know. I think ultimately,
always.
Hey, yes. One of the things I think is going to come of this, to add to your messages, is, you know, I think it's made us very aware of how we treat each other. And part of that is, you know, how many people, if I've got a horrible illness, whether it's the flu, and by horrible illness, again, no disrespect, I just mean, you know, if I feel awful, if I know I have the flu, should I really be getting on that train car? Should I really be sitting next to that person? Should I really go around not caring who catches it and who? Should I still, you know, do the things that, you know, all of a sudden we've recognized in a lot of ways how we treat each other, and you know, that kindness is important, and, you know, respect is equally important. And you know, it's vital that we carry ourselves correctly, for lack of a better term. So
you know, the way we have to behave now is actually the way we should always behave.
Right. You said a mouth.
You know,
somebody was saying, an artist I was talking to just the other day said, you know, everyone keeps saying, I want to get back to the way it used to be. And he said, I don't necessarily want to go back to the way it used to be.
Right.
We can go back to life, but let's take some of these lessons with us and improve the way it used to be. We don't have to go back.
Step our game up
a little bit, you know, truth to that. Well, Troy, Dave, and Gerald, I want to thank you guys so very, very much for taking your time to be here with us. Bless all you guys, and thank you for sharing those songs and your messages and your time. It's very much appreciated. And I know I speak on behalf of the Soul Train guests and the guests of the other Star Vista Live charter cruises, and all the folks just tuning in who stumbled across this, or maybe are longtime fans of the Manhattans. Thank you. Truly, truly thank you. We appreciate you and your families and your ability to give us this time. So I'll wrap up in saying thank you also to all our watchers out there. If you tuned in just for this, we're glad to have you. If you stumbled across this, take a look around the Star Vista Live YouTube page. You'll see lots of other content from the Soul Train cruise and all the other different cruises that we do. Lots of wonderful content with lots of stars, whether it's living room concerts or interviews like this, or some of the older content we have from actually the cruises themselves. I'm your virtual cruise host, Jason. Thanks again for tuning into All Access Pass from Home. My guests today, Troy, Dave, and Gerald from the Manhattans. To all of them, again, a big thank you. And to all of you, thank you. Stay tuned to this channel. More content to come soon. Be well, everybody. Wash your hands. Stay safe. We'll see you around.